All right, in this section we are going to be solving inequalities. An example of how a question like that would be worded, let's say we had something like solve, and let's do a couple different parts here. So let's do part A is going to be x squared minus 5x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 0. Part B is going to be the same thing, x squared minus 5x plus 6, but just greater than 0. Part C is going to be x squared minus 5x plus 6 is less than or equal to 0. And part D will be x squared minus 5x plus 6 is less than 0. Now, in practice on your homework and on the quizzes and on the tests, you'll just be asked for one of these at a time. I thought I would do all four just because why not for our first example, but when you see these on the homework or on the quizzes or maybe even the other example videos I do, it'll just be part A, or it'll be part C, or it'll be part D. It'll just be, one or the other. But we could ask any of these four variations here: greater than or equal to, greater than, less than or equal to, or less than 0. The nice thing about all of these is the process is no different, and you can actually do them all pretty much at once. The only thing that's going to differ is what you write down for your final answer for each part. And so let's see here. So the process that I like to do for these, I'll put it down below, and then I'll put the answers next to those part A, B, C, and D there, but I'll do my work down below. And so what I like to do here is first just ignore the inequality. Just set this function equal to 0, x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0, and just solve for x. Just get the x-intercepts first. In this case, we need factors of positive 6 that add up to negative 5. Those are going to be x minus 3 and x minus 2. 3 again, x minus 3 times x minus 2. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. So that is going to give us an x equals 3 and an x equals 2 for our x-intercepts. And now what I'm going to do with those x-intercepts is I'm going to make a number line and put those x-intercepts on that number line. And some people just like to put points there because they're x-intercepts. That's fine. I actually like that a lot for reasons that will become more apparent in our third example that we do in this section. And now what I'm going to do is try to figure out, okay, now that I know where the function is equal to 0, now let's try to figure out if it's less than or greater than 0 in the intervals that we've created on this number line. So the first interval that I see there is stuff's going on to the left of 2. Something's happening to the left of 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to off to the side here, I'm going to pick something to the left of 2. Maybe I'll just pick positive 1. Or I could do 0 or negative 1 or negative 2 or negative 3, any number to the left of 2. And what that's going to show me is if I plug it into the function, it's going to show me if it's greater than or less than 0. In this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug it into the factored form of my function. I think that's the easiest one to work with. So I'm going to have 1 minus 3 times 1 minus 2. Well, 1 minus 3 is a negative number. 1 minus 2 is a negative number. A negative times a negative is a positive. So any number I would have picked to the left of 2, I picked 1. But any number I would have picked to the left of 2 would have given me a positive there. Next, I'm going to pick something between 2 and 3. I'll do 2.5. I'm going to plug it into my function, so I'll have 2.5 minus 3, 2.5 minus 2. Well, 2.5 minus 3 is negative. 2.5 minus 2 is positive. A negative times a positive is a negative. Any number I would have picked between 2 and 3 would give me a negative number when I plug it into the function. Something to the right of 3, maybe 4 or 5 or 10 or 1,000,000. Pick whichever number you want to the right of 3. If I plug that into the function, I'm going to get 4 minus 3, 4 minus 2. 4 minus 3 is positive. 4 minus 2 is positive. A positive times a positive is a positive. All right, so now I have my number line all filled up. Now I feel comfortable answering these questions above. For the first question, for part A, that had asked me, okay, well, where is this function greater than or equal to 0? Well, it's greater than or equal to 0. Any place where I have a plus, that's where it's going to be greater than. So let me put that in green. So the greater than or equal to 0 and the greater than. Any place where I have a plus, where I have a positive sign or a positive value, that's where it's going to be greater than 0. Positive numbers are greater than 0. And in the case of part A, I also want to know where is it equal to 0. But that's what I figured out first. I figured out it was equal to 0 at 3 and at 2. So in order to write this answer, I'm going to say, okay, well, according to my number line, it's everything to the left of 2, including 2, because I want the equal to there. And then it's also everything to the right of 3, including 3. That's going to be my answer for part A there. Now part B is not going to be very different. The only difference there is now I only want greater than. I don't want equal to as well. So I'm just going to get rid of those endpoints. I'm going to say, okay, well, it's negative infinity to 2, union 3 to infinity. But now those are parentheses because I do not want to include the places where it was equal to 0. I only want the greater thans. I only want the positive values. I don't want 0 as well. For part C and part D, I need less than or equal to. Well, if a number is less than 0, it's negative. The only place where this function was negative was between 2 and 3. Part C wants me to include 2 and 3. Part D does not. I need those in parentheses on part D. And that's going to do it for this first example. I'll do a few more. I think I'll do 3 more here. And you know, again, on the homework, on the quiz, on the test, and the other examples, I probably won't do all 4 parts. You know, the homework and the quiz and the test will definitely just be asking you one at a time. It might say greater than or equal to, it might say greater than, or less than or equal to, or less than. It's not going to ask for all 4. But the work for all 4 is no different. You're going to do the same process. It's only at the end when you actually answer the question, are you even going to look, okay, what were they asking me? Was it greater than or equal to? Was it less than? What was it?